Hola, buenos días. Bienvenidos a este segundo día de Madrid Fusión. VICKY CHENG nació en Hong Kong y a los 13 años empezó a viajar por el mundo, por Estados Unidos, Canadá, y bueno, se empezó a criar en las influencias occidentales, él es de Hong Kong, influencias occidentales de cocina, ¿no? Se decantó mucho por la cocina más académica, más entregada al producto, a las materias primas. Quizás su mentor más importante fue en Nueva York, fue Daniel Boulud, 3 estrellas Michelin, del restaurante Daniel. Y es verdad que eso caló mucho en él, en su estilo, y después, cuando volvió a Hong Kong en el 2011, refinó todas esas técnicas culinarias y desde hace 9 años se centra en su restaurante Bea, donde lo que hace es una fusión entre ese academicismo francés occidental de tratamiento de las materias primas junto con las raíces y la herencia asiática, china y hongkonesa. Su cocina es de extrema precisión, mucha finura, mucho énfasis en los productos frescos. Hoy vais a ver que va a trabajar con el carabinero, pero sobre todo va a trabajar con un producto que para nosotros es muy icónico en texturas, que es las espardeñas. Ellos lo trabajan las espardeñas, pero vais a ver que tiene diferentes tipos de espardeñas, incluso formas de tratarlo, diferente a como lo hacemos aquí. Y bueno, eso lo presenta en su menú degustación, que cambia cada 15 días, y donde es extremadamente meticuloso en presentaciones, en potenciar sabores, en descubrir ingredientes indígenas que incluso en China o en Hong Kong nadie conoce. Es un experto en descubrir esos productos, ya sean de la tierra o del mar, que es donde se está focalizando más últimamente, ¿no? ¿Cómo definir su estilo culinario? Cocina china de escuela francesa, o como él dice, Chinese ex France. Pero bueno, lo van a descubrir ustedes mismos, con ustedes, VICKY CHENG en Madrid Fusión.
Hola. Sorry, this is as much as I can say in Spanish. So I hope everyone is well, and thank you for coming. I'm very, very honored to be here, and I just want to take a moment to explain to you myself quickly. Basically, I have a restaurant in Hong Kong called Vea. And it's, as explained before, the cuisine is what we call Chinese ex-French. And so my life is actually, my whole entire life I've been learning from very classic French chefs, only cooking very classic French food. And it was only until 4 years ago when I started Vea that we decided to do this cuisine, a very unique cuisine called Chinese ex-French. So basically it takes French technique, classic, and merge with specifically Chinese ingredients. So not Japanese, not Asian in terms of flavors or ingredients, but specifically Chinese. So that all started when I came back to Hong Kong about 9 years ago. So I was born there, but I left when I was at a very young age to go to Canada and eventually to New York, where I continued to cook. So then 9 years ago, I came back to Hong Kong, and actually I was still cooking very classic French food with some Asian flavors and twist. But then Vea started. And I wanted to open my own, my first restaurant to represent myself, something that truly was dear to my heart, myself, which is in Chinese culture. I was born in Hong Kong, and everything I learned in the past from all of my mentors who was cooking classic French food. And so today, we want to present you sea cucumber, so pepino de mar, I believe, in Spain. So when I first received the email to come here to be on stage, it I was very excited, nervous, but at the same time, the item, the dish that I wanted to present was immediate. I wanted to do this dish because I understood that in Spain, you have a very famous dish called espadeñas. And so actually, many Spanish guests come to my restaurant, and we always have this joke by saying, in Spain, you eat the inside of the sea cucumber, but you don't really use the outside of the sea cucumber. So whereas for us in Hong Kong, in Chinese cuisine, the most expensive part, we actually eat both, but the most expensive part is actually the outside of the sea cucumber. And so we're going to show you this in a second. I just want to also introduce you my sous chef, Levin, who's coming all the way from Hong Kong to help me to do the show as well. So I want to show you in Spain. This is a Spanish sea cucumber. And so this is what you catch. Actually, sea cucumber is very sustainable, and you can, everywhere there's sea, if you go on a beach, chances are if you go scuba diving, you will find sea cucumber all along the seabeds. So this one is Spanish, so we were lucky enough to get a fresh one. Look, is just like jelly. And so what happens is when you blanch, it shrinks. It's full of collagen, and so the reason why we even eat it in Chinese cuisine originally is for it's for the collagen. And so when we eat, we always have a purpose in Chinese cuisine. Generally, it's for health. It's for anti-aging. In this case, it's the collagen that makes your skin tighten and you look younger. And so after blanch, simply in water, you end up having this plump sea cucumber that looks like this, yeah? But what I really want to showcase is not the fresh sea cucumber, which you have here, and I think many cuisine uses, like the Korean, Japanese, even in Spain, I think in Italy they use. So what I really want to showcase today is Chinese dried seafood, what we call hoi mei. And so in Chinese cuisine, there's four major types of dried seafood. One is dried sea cucumber. The other is fish maw, which is swim bladder of generally saltwater fish, but you have freshwater fish as well. Then you have the dried abalone, and the last one, controversial, is the shark's fin. Okay, so what I really want to showcase is the dried sea cucumber. So if you look at this little guy here, you will see on camera, and maybe you can catch it here, the little spikes, right? The little spikes differentiate how much sea cucumber will cost, right? So if you look at the Spanish sea cucumber, there's almost no spikes. This is another type of sea cucumber. There's many different varietals, and the most expensive ones and the most cherished ones are always the ones with a lot of spikes, right? So this alone could cost around, at cost, would be around 15 euro. So if you eat it at a restaurant, this would cost around almost $45, $50 euro for one plate of this. So what I want to showcase today is how we get from dried sea cucumber into a stage where you can continue to cook. Because once you get to the point where you can cook, then the imagination, the creativity is endless, all right? And so this is one of the signature dishes at VEA. And so that's why I really want to showcase this. And so before, as I mentioned, I didn't think twice before before deciding to do this dish, because in Spain, you eat this. You have the espadeñas, right? This is considered a delicacy, as I've been told by many people. And so I myself have never tried the Spanish version, so I'm dying to try this. So we're going to take this 11, and we're going to go to the back and cook it later. So the sea cucumber, as I mentioned, is a signature dish. We developed this dish about 3.5 years ago. Now, we've had maybe 12 to 15 different versions of the same dish. And so later on, we'll show you how to make this sea cucumber crispy. Now, sea cucumber is often never crispy. It is often enjoyed for its collagen, so it's braised in a Chinese flavored sauce. If you have dried sea cucumber anywhere in the world, chances are it's going to taste Chinese just because this product, mainly dried version, really belong to Chinese cuisine. So the flavor generally is always the same. Some, of course, do it better than others. So for us, because we're in Spain, so everyone I'm sure knows this, the red prawn here, we will use this as the filling. We're going to stuff it with a mousse made from this prawn, and we will present you my Spanish version of this Chinese ex-French sea cucumber. Okay, so we'll go over there and we're going to show you now. So first thing, we have different stages of sea cucumber here, and I just want to show you the original version, which is from that plate. Now, just so you know, from fresh sea cucumber until this point, mainly Japanese. These sea cucumbers from Japanese. The best and most expensive sea cucumber dried is generally always from Japan. So this one, the process is basically fresh sea cucumber, blanched, then sun-dried until it's completely dry, and you get this. So we don't do this. We buy it dried. This is what's famous about Chinese dried seafood products, is that we buy them already dried, and some products, not so much sea cucumber, but the fish maw, the dried abalone is actually ages. So some 20-year-old abalone is much more expensive than the 1 or 2-year-old. So first thing I want to show you is we're going to bring you to the process of how to get to this, and 5 days later, we'll get to the point where we can actually cook. So what you want to do with the dried sea cucumber, now I'm not sure if you can get really good quality dried seafood here in Spain, but maybe, I hope that eventually there will be, maybe in Chinatown or dried seafood shops that you can find some good quality ones. And so first thing you do is, once you have that, you just pour some room temperature water, right? Very simple, but very time consuming because it does take time, but it's quite simple. Once you know it, you will remember it forever. So here you have the dried sea cucumber just soak in room temperature water for 2 days. So you can, for small amounts, you can just leave it outside in your home. But for us, of course, we're doing 200, 300 pieces at a time. So we have a big hotel pan, and we pour the water, and we leave it actually inside the fridge, just because Hong Kong is very humid as well, so more safe that way. Then after, you are left with this, okay? So if you can see on camera, it's hard, but it's pliable, okay? And you wouldn't be able to eat this right now. And so a lot of people ask me, rehydrating sea cucumber, this must be just putting water inside and rehydrating like a raisin or anything else that we know. But no, actually, it's quite complicated in a sense that it involves a lot of steps of repetition of hot water and what we call blooming. And so this is the blooming process, right? So from here, after 2 days, you take this out, and you have this. Now, what you want to do is, Levin's going to pass you some hot water. Just boiling water, and one very important step is that there must be no oil. It cannot have any kind of oil inside the container, on your hand, in your ladle. This is the most important part about dry seafood. The moment you have one drop of oil, it will not blossom, it will not bloom. And you're stuck with, no matter how long you cook it, you end up with a tough piece of, almost like a rubber. Okay, so before you start, make sure you sanitize and clean everything. The next thing is you just pour hot water, right, just over top like this, and then Levin is going to help me saran wrap this into a tight air seal, just to keep all the heat inside. And now you're going to leave this for 12 hours, okay? So after 12 hours, you end up with this, okay? So if you can get the camera on this, now you can feel that it's much more pliable, but it's actually quite hard. And later on, if you want to, if you want to come and feel this, that's fine. But it's quite hard, but is much more pliable now. Okay? So here, what you want to do now is take a knife. Okay? And because of the nature of sea cucumber, if you know, it's a bottom feeder. It lives on the bottom of the ocean. Usually, it's quite shallow and is quite sandy. And so what you want to do now is to take just the back of the knife, right? Maybe with some water. Okay, and this is very important as well because you have a lot of this mud, almost like mud on top of this sea cucumber, if you can see on my knife. So you want to remove all of this, okay? And on the back. Okay, so after removing all of this, okay, then we repeat the process by pouring hot water inside again. Now, Levin is going to help me saran wrap this. Now, this is another 12 hours. After this process, you have to leave it just at room temperature for 12 hours until it just the time and the moisture do its thing. Okay, you don't need to disturb it in any way. After, now you're left with this. Now you can see the size. This is real size. We took the same batch of sea cucumber, and we are doing the same thing. So all the sizes are after 1 day, after 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours. Okay, and you can see the expansion. Now, then you end up with this. So what you want to do from here is to cut the sea cucumber. If you want to come in closer. Okay, yeah. There's always a little hole here. So what you want to do is to cut this open. Okay, and open it up. And look, this is actually the espadrillas, right? But already dried. So you want to carefully remove. There's always a mouth there. Okay, so this is the mouth. So if you take a look closely, this is actually what they eat. This is what they actually suck on the bottom of the ocean. So you can see these white pieces here. That's sand. So you need to make sure you remove all of that. Okay, and you need to get in here to remove all of this. This is actually what you eat, the espadrillas. So remove all, okay? Now, of course, you can saute this bit and enjoy it. But in the Chinese culture, we always when we serve this dish, it has to be very, very clean. Okay, so you can reserve that for another purpose. But the point is to clean this thoroughly, right? So like that. Now you can see. Look, it's quite bouncy, right? It's still quite cartilagey, okay? So it's not ready to eat yet. From this point, we'll do again. So Levin is going to pour some hot water inside. So you get the idea, right? 12 hours, 12 hours. So 12 hours, scraping, 12 hours, cutting and cleaning, 12 hours. Then you finally end up with this, okay? So just to show you a comparison, from day one until we're ready to use. So at this point, this is ready to use. You can go ahead and do whatever you want with this now, okay? So from there to there, it does need those time, that 12 hours repetition to become this, okay? So from here, if you can see just by looking at the camera, the texture of this is not so cartilagey. It's much more soft and actually quite tender. Okay, very, very tender. You can feel it, and you can see the spines. As I mentioned before, the spikes, the amount of spikes differentiates the price of the sea cucumber. Okay, so from here, what I will do is just to lay this on a piece of paper. Now, in my hand, I made a simple mousse. This is a mousse of scallop. It basically just has. Oh, actually, it's this. Basically, it's just pureed scallop, egg white, cream, white pepper, salt. It's very, very simple. So, as I mentioned before, I really wanted to do something that was that has a relation to Madrid, to Spain. And so, in this mousse, we decided to fold in a little bit of red prawn as well. Then, so after, so after, what you want is to pipe in here, the mousse. Now, notice my hand, you need to stretch it out a little bit so you can pipe properly. Okay? So imagine it's almost just like a little sausage, right? Make it nice. So in the restaurant, because the sea cucumber is its nature, so every piece will differentiate slightly by a few grams. Usually it's around the same, just off by like 10 gram, maybe sometimes 12 gram. So in the restaurant, we put this on a scale. So we always serve the same amount of food to all of our guests. So whether that is 60 gram, 80 gram, it's always the same. So now what you want to do, just to pipe. After you pipe, fold this, right? Simply just roll it up. Like a little sausage. Okay? Very simple. Then, so it's like just like a little sausage, and then now you take this and you steam just 5 minutes, just to set the mousse inside. Then you end up with this. Okay? So after we steam, so just to speed up a little bit, so we can show you what happens after we steam. When you remove, of course, the mousse is set on there already, okay? So now we will take this and we're going to show you how to make it crispy. So one of the signature dish in the restaurant is this sea cucumber, and so 3.5 years ago, I thought about how I really want to use sea cucumber, but sea cucumber is actually a thing that even for somebody who grew up in Hong Kong, it's not for everyone. The texture is not for everyone. It's quite like almost like jelly. It's quite mushy sometimes. Or it's quite hard sometimes. So I had thought about that, and so the idea behind there is to be able to understand and be that bridge of the two palettes and the two cultures, the knowledge of two cultures, and understanding them both. And so knowing that growing up, even my mother would force us kids to eat sea cucumber because it's good for you, not because it. Perhaps not the main reason wasn't because it tastes good, was actually because it's very good for your health. So a lot of people growing up are actually quite reluctant to eat it. So understanding that, I thought, okay, if I'm going to put this dish on the menu, I needed to change the texture. I needed to think about a way to make this jelly not so soft. So what we do now is after we steam, we open the bags, right? And we basically just leave it inside the fridge for restaurant for a few hours, or even under the fan for a few hours, and then we end up making crispy. So now Levin is just going to put this on top of the, so now here we have about a 220 degrees hot oil, in which Levin will just prepare to make crispy. Now in the meantime, I have a plate here. What I want to do is also for this Spanish version of our signature dish, I want to include a little bit of the raw prawn. So you have a little bit of the cooked prawn inside, inside the mousse already. Then you have a bit of this raw tartare, just quickly seasoned with some olive oil, salt, pepper, right? Then we will have this crispy sea cucumber. If you want to see what we do here, just by ladling some hot oil over top. And you will see that is because of the collagen and the quick seal from when you rest it over a fan or inside your fridge, it almost creates, if you can imagine, like a quick, not exactly like chicharron, not exactly like pork skin, but it's the same idea. So underneath, it's still very juicy, soft, but just on the tips will be completely crispy. And so that's what we're trying to achieve here. And so then after, we also took the shrimp, the head and the shells of the shrimp, and we also made a sauce. So this could be any favorite type of sauce that you like. It could, as long as it's rich, like almost like a bisque, whether if it's made with butter or made with cream, it totally is up to you. So we have many different versions at VEA, and so the sauce today that Levin will pass now is made with the head of the carbonara, in which we're going to fill the bottom of the plate with. So now we have this crispy sea cucumber. Now, something different that we also brought along is this yellow wine from Hong Kong. So later maybe you can have a just to try. Basically, it's like yellow wine. It's yellow rice wine, but made right here from Hong Kong. And so the idea is to connect the something that we're used to drinking, something that we are very familiar with. It's a special wine that the taste almost like it's fortified, right? So we will then, after the sauce, we will mist on top. So the idea in the restaurant is when the guests get it, it's an aroma of this familiar smell of yellow wine. At the same time, you're eating a flavor of shellfish. That's okay. Okay, so if you feel them, if you can see that they're completely crispy now, and what we will do is just to pour this rich sauce made from the head of the prawn, the head of the shrimp, then a little mist of the Shaoxing wine. And that's it. So that's a dish that we've had for 3.5 years, as I mentioned, but it continues to evolve, like the cuisine that we have, like the imagination and also the creativity of the whole entire team at VEA. We want to take, basically, we want to be that bridge, and I hope that's my hope and that's my dream, to be that bridge between the French culture and also the Chinese culture, the cuisine, to be able to merge them and allow more and more people and all of you to understand more about Chinese ingredients, specifically dried seafood, or not just locally grown eggplants and tomatoes, in which we use in the restaurant and we're very proud of, but to also highlight different cultures. And so when I come to Spain, when I come to Madrid, you know, first thing we do is to go to the market. I love the market in everywhere in the world, and we've been to a couple already in the last 2 days, and I love seeing new ingredients and learning about the new cultures, and I hope that I get to learn from all of you as well, because it's just something that I hope that everywhere in the world could do a bit of cross-culture just to understand and learn about each other. And so for me, there's nothing more Chinese and Cantonese than dried seafood specifically. Of course, there's a million other things as well, but perhaps this is more of an untouched territory because it's a very long process, and it actually, for us, it took us about 8 months to develop this dish, and 6 months of it was learning how to do it classically, because for me, I believe in, I really believe in when you create a new dish, when you create a classic, specifically, especially classic dishes, that we always take our time to understand how it was classically made for hundreds and hundreds of years. Why has it always been made this way? As I mentioned before, the Chinese restaurant, when you go to a Chinese restaurant, Chinese sea cucumber, generally it always has this Chinese flavor. But and I respect that. You know, that was always a success. It was a classic because of that, and so that's why we take 6 months to learn how to cook this sea cucumber, the fish maw, the dried sea cucumber, the way it was supposed to be, before thinking about, okay, now that we've learned it, now we can throw it all away and do our own version. And for me, this is a very, very important thing, especially when you're trying to create something that was already a classic. And so I hope that through this demo, this will open up doors to many of you to try and use these Chinese dried products, because they are actually, if you want them to be, they can be shipped all over the world because they're dried and they exist everywhere. And so the sea cucumber is from Japan, fish maw is from Africa, the abalone is from, you know, there's pieces from China, from Australia. And so none of the seafood actually comes from Hong Kong. But the most consumed dried seafood in the world, and maybe in China, is actually mainly used in Hong Kong. So I hope that you will try, go home and maybe try it in your cuisine, try it in your kitchen, and be open-minded about trying and eating it next time when you encounter these ingredients as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.